Welcome to the Upshot. I'm Huntsville Mayor Tommy Battle. Our program today will focus on the Huntsville-Madison County Airport Authority. This is a public corporation that runs the Huntsville Airport International Airport. But the Airport Authority does much more than just that. They're also known as the Port of Huntsville, and this means their job is to provide multimodal transportation services to the region and to provide for economic growth and development in the Tennessee Valley. They do this through airport operations, through the International Intermodal Center, the Jetplex Industrial Park, Signature Flight Support, and the Foreign Trade Zone. With me here today to explain how all this works is Barbie Peek, Director of Business Development for the Huntsville-Madison County Airport Authority. Barbie, welcome to the Upshot.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me on today.
Good. Tell us a little bit about the history of the airport, mission and goals, and kind of bring us up to date from where we've been. I remember the old days, and you're not old enough to remember the old days when we were down at John Hunt Park with an airport. And tell us how we progressed to where we are today.
Well, you know, this community is known for innovation and visionary leadership, and so the Port of Huntsville, I think, has been very fortunate to have good leadership. So, you know, back in the 60s when the whole community was growing, there was a decision made that that particular site no longer fit the needs of our airport. So back in 1961, through an act of legislation in the state of Alabama, the Huntsville-Madison County Airport Authority was created, and thus an Airport Authority Board was created. And those board members are appointed today, two by the City of Huntsville, two by Madison County Commission, and one is a joint appointee between the two bodies. And those are the two bodies that invested initially into the Port of Huntsville. And so we like to describe them as our parents of the Port of Huntsville. So together, they worked, they bought the property back in 1964, over 3,000 acres, and in 1967, then thus the Multimodal Transportation Center was born because that was its original concept. So in 1967, Huntsville International Airport opened, and the rest has been a growth history.
Wow. You remember when it first opened in 1967, 1970, I think I came up from the University of Alabama, and we came and we found this really neat airport right in the middle of a big, lots of fields of cotton, thousands and thousands of acres of cotton. And everybody said, why is this here?
Well, I think a lot of people wondered. And again, I think it goes back to the vision of our leadership. And we knew that we wanted to be a multimodal transportation center even back in the 60s.
And a multimodal transportation system, that's airport,
air, rail, and highway transportation.
Okay. Yeah.
And we have all three of those modes today serving and providing business and industry with transportation solutions.
Boy, somebody had to have a lot of forethought to get started with an airport out in the middle of cotton fields between Huntsville and between Decatur at that point.
And it was really a great location. And part of it was when you looked at that particular site, they were able to go in and make an initial purchase of 3,000 acres. Okay. Today, that property has grown to over 7,000 acres. And, you know, getting us to be prepared for growth and for other opportunities that we can add. But it was a great move to put it, you know, equidistance between two growing cities in North Alabama. And then it's, you know, we have a 25-mile radius of Madison, Morgan, and Limestone County that we serve.
So what's the population of what you actually serve for airport, I guess airport and transportation facilities?
Well, when you look like at your typical passenger type service, it's usually like a 50-mile radius. And then when we get out and you start looking at like rail customers, that becomes 100 to 150-mile radius. And then when you start looking at air cargo type passengers, it goes all the way up to 600 miles, which today we have customers trucking cargo to our facility as far away as 600 miles.
Wow. Okay. Let's talk the real issue here, airfare, air traffic, air rates, and where we as an airport, what services we're going to be able to provide.
Yep. Well, we're really pleased to, you know, that we announced just last week, and you were a part of that great announcement, that Glow Airlines is going to be our fourth airline in the community.
Out of New Orleans.
Out of New Orleans. We'll be going nonstop, so we've added, that's our 10th destination. And this is a unique opportunity for us. You know, with the mergers and consolidation of airlines today, what we're seeing that's happened in smaller communities is a loss of capacity. And capacity helps drive competition. And at the end of the day, airfares are not determined by me, you, or any of these operating entities around here. And it is an airline decision, and it's based on their pricing model. What we try to do is we try to influence their pricing. We search out for fares. We look at it weekly. We monitor trends. We are frequent callers to our route planning friends at the airlines and trying to understand, when some of the markets get out of kilter. But, again, none of us get to control those prices. And we feel the frustration too, and we understand what the community feels. So that's why we try to talk with the carriers about growing our capacity, but also we're trying to create competition.
Let's talk spilt milk. And talking spilt milk, we talk about AirTran. Oh gosh, remember we went down to visit AirTran at their corporate headquarters right before, was it Thanksgiving?
Yes, exactly.
About 8 years ago.
Yes.
We went down and we had a great visit. We came back all happy and everything else. AirTran comes up, makes an announcement. Then what happened?
Yeah. Well, air service development is an economic development type project. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of partners. You've been great in supporting all of our air service efforts and our other partners, the Chamber, business and community. So, we went with straight for AirTran with great gusto. We knew they were a good fit for the community.
They put in their BWI route, which went
Right.
to Baltimore. They put in their Orlando route, which was great direct flight to Orlando, and we all felt like, man, we have something really neat here. And as it had happened, we started seeing some of the others to be competitive, starting to drop prices.
Well, not only did you have new nonstop service, AirTran was a true low-cost carrier. So they came in and influenced a lot of different factors for our market. And BWI and Orlando are traditional, they're business markets for us. And also when you get some alternate destinations like BWI, we saw business travelers making a change and going into BWI and taking the train. So people were looking for ways to save money, and they were willing to try some new things. So when Southwest decided to buy AirTran, you really had two different business models merging. You had Southwest, who had been probably one of the first low-cost carriers to develop in the aviation industry, and they operated off of a much different type of business model. Lots of air service, lots of nonstop destinations, large planes, 150 seats plus. But AirTran had a business model that was more small community friendly. So when you tried to merge those two together in the beginning, it didn't work. And we've had frequent conversations with Southwest and former Southwest folks, and they said Huntsville was probably the most talked about city when they were trying to make a decision on where they go.
So they did listen to all those letters that I sent and you sent and everybody else sent, saying, hey, you have two profitable lines here.
Right.
You have BWI, you have Orlando. You need to just keep those open. But because they had hubs in Birmingham and Nashville, we seemed to lose
Yes.
the race on that. But
We did, and I think our community was stepping up and they were supporting the service. And again, it was such a factor we couldn't control with a merger. And sometimes we've been on the losing end of mergers. So we are very cautious and tread very lightly when we hear consolidation and mergers.
when the Southwest bought AirTran, I sent them a letter and they sent back a letter saying, no, well, this doesn't meet our business model. And so I sent them back a letter that they weren't, I don't think it very impressed them a whole lot. I said, well, if my business model precludes routes that are profitable, I think I'd change my business model. I don't think we made any progress on that.
Right. Well, we did become some of their best routes, and Huntsville, Orlando became the #2 route in the system for AirTran. So it does, boggles you a little bit, and you have to scratch your head and say, hey, So we move on, and we've got to, go to the next, next opportunity.
All life's one big cycle. We got one, we lost it, we'll be back. We've got another one coming, and so
Right.
now we're looking for a third and fourth, and to keep bringing in those routes that will give us, some direct routes and lower prices. But what's really interesting is when we start looking at what rates are, and I start, we plan out trips Mrs. Battle and I maybe take a trip, and it's looking 6 weeks out, and we make a decision, and we buy our tickets through Huntsville, and then I'll check, say, hey, what would the price have been in Nashville and Birmingham? Many times I find that I'm cheaper going out of Huntsville, and most of the times I find I'm cheaper going out of Huntsville than I am going out of those other areas.
And I mean, that's one factor that we really try to, stress to all of the customers, plan early. And because we know that we have, what we call them is the entry-level fares, and that's your lower fares. And we all know that the pricing model in the airline, there's all kinds of fares on all the different flights. So if you plan early, you are competitive. And we do hear many times, wow, I did a comparison and we were lower or equal to. And so that's what we encourage you, if you can, try to plan 30 days in advance. Sure. Sometimes when you're a business traveler, that's not an option, and we all have customers that call and we have to go. And again, that's a little bit of the complexion of our community.
And one of the things that knocks our average price up, when everybody talks about we have a high average price, one of the things that knocks our average price up is that last minute person who all of a sudden gets a call from his customer or client and says, you got to be in Washington, D.C. tomorrow, and so they have to jump online and buy a ticket, and maybe it's $1,400 or something, right. And then they have to buy insurance on top of it and everything else. So the last minute travelers knock everybody's average up, don't they?
They do, and we get the report on occasion that from the Bureau of Transportation Statistics that talks about us and ranks us in fares, and there's all kinds of caveats to that, particular survey that comes out. And so if you really, just stacked it up based on airports and the amount of traffic they have, we really are not the #1 airport in the country with the highest airfares.
Well, and what's really nice is, we can go to our airport, you can park right next to the airport, you can come across the breezeway, have your ticket that you've already gotten off of the internet and take it in and show it and go right in. And gosh, how easy is that compared to going to Birmingham or Nashville, where you got to get in the big parking decks and walk 200 miles to find a place, and then you get there and all of a sudden your flight's it's been delayed or canceled or something, and you're stuck in a city that's not your home.
And you got to drive 2 hours there and 2 hours back, and if there's a delay or if you're late and you miss your flight, those are things that impact. So we encourage people to book early. We've created the Huntsville Hot Ticket Line so that our consumers have a person to call and actually talk and help them shop and find the best fares. It's a free service to our customers. It doesn't cost anything. It's open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and you can pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I'm trying to go to San Jose, or I'm trying to plan a business trip, or I'm trying to find a trip with my family of 4, and we've got someone live on the other end to help you.
And Glow Airlines now. Glow Airlines is new to the market. They're going to provide trips from Huntsville to New Orleans back to Huntsville, and some of the introductory prices were $99 round trip.
We had some promo prices that came in at $99. You're going to probably see the average fare be about $149 each way, and they're going to throw some promos out there all the time. Right now it's 3 days a week, which will serve the business passenger that needs to go down, some during the week, and then also for the leisure passenger that wants to go down on Friday and come back on Sunday and have a great weekend in New Orleans. So we think it's a complement to the existing service that we have. It was a need, and we have a lot of business travel that was leaking to other markets. But the biggest leakage we had for New Orleans was people driving to New Orleans versus flying anywhere.
That's a long drive, too.
It is.
Yeah.
So our business and industry were very supportive when we were going through the process and hosting them and letting them come in and meet the community. And so we feel that's going to be very successful.
Okay, now let's switch hats. We've been at the airport. We've jumped in line. We've jumped on our plane, and we've flown off and flown back. Now, when we're flying out, sometimes we see these huge planes. Really big planes out there. What are they, 787s?
747, 400s,
who are owned by a group called Panalpina. And tell us a little bit about what they're doing here.
Well, this has really probably placed Huntsville International Airport on the map because we are the 17th largest international air cargo airport in the U.S.
Air cargo. Now,
Air cargo.
Air cargo would be...
anything that goes in and on a plane, but it's international. See, all of our cargo, our rail cargo and our air cargo, over 90% of it has an international origin or destination. So because of Panalpina and its partnership in our community, that has ranked us as the 17th largest international air cargo in the United States.
And
So
Panalpina has a couple of flights. So
Panalpina provides weekly service. They have 10 weekly flights. They're providing service to Luxembourg, Hong Kong, Mexico, and and Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Wow.
So we have 4 international destinations today that cargo can come and go. And again, this has been a partnership. We are about to celebrate 26 years in September
Of the
with
intermodal.
Panalpina being a partner with Huntsville International Airport.
And then they bring in cargo, which is containerized, and they can take that container and they can put it on rail through the intermodal, and then we can ship it anywhere in the U.S. Is that right?
Well, your cargo comes in a little bit differently, and some of their destinations are not rail oriented. But what people have the option, and what's the beauty of having all of these multimodal transportation services on site, is you have the option to move it, whether you need to rail it to the ocean containers or whether you need to, fly international. And when you do your air cargo, most people look for their products are high end, and speed to the market is very vital with those types of products when you're doing the international. We also have domestic air cargo service provided by FedEx and UPS, just like we do have, whereas over 90% of our rail cargo has an international origin or destination, we do have domestic lanes as part of our partnership with Norfolk Southern on the rail side.
So one of those huge planes comes in, and it's got numerous containerized cargo in it. And most of the time, then it will go to
Truck.
18 wheel. It'll be trucked
trucked
out.
in and out.
Yeah.
And like I said, we have people trucking cargo as far away as Wisconsin and bringing cargo in and bringing cargo out.
Now,
And
the intermodal is also a foreign trade zone. Talk a little bit about that. Tell people what foreign trade zone means.
well, it's a great asset, and it's one of the amenities, and I think that we focus on trying to provide kind of a one-stop shop for business and industry to find things to help their transportation. So we are always looking for services and facilities to make it easier and better. Foreign Trade Zone number 83 is just another one of those amenities that helps make it easier for people to do business. You can bring your products in and out of the zone and pay less tariff, and it's something to help make your business easier when you're trying to sell your products. And it was designed to create foreign investments into the United States, and also when people are doing business with foreign companies. There's some new trade agreements that are in place already, with Mexico and Canada, but there's a great advantage of being located in a foreign trade zone. And today, if a business is interested in the foreign trade zone, they can call us, and we have an administrator. And we're the grantee of Foreign Trade Zone number 83, but we do have an administrator that works with our business and industry, and they can come in and do a feasibility study for your company, and it's a complimentary study to see if you would benefit from using a foreign trade zone.
Now, go back to your cargo. I've heard some numbers before, how long it takes to, once it hits the ground, to be unloaded and off plane and onto trucks and everything in Huntsville versus other communities, and that's a huge sales points for it, isn't it?
We have great infrastructure, and investing in your infrastructure is very vital. We've invested over $158 million in the last 26 years directed at air cargo. Now, all of the other entities have benefited from those type of investments. So we have a 10,000-foot long runway. We have a 12,600-foot long way.
Second longest
Second
in the
longest
southeast.
runway in the southeast.
Yeah.
Only short by 200 feet. But these are the types of amenities that help expedite business and industry. So when we can have simultaneous takeoff and landing, so that doubles your capacity. So we have less congestion than a typical gateway that you think of like in Atlanta. So our cargo planes can come in, unload, clear customs, and take off in 2 hours.
Wow.
And that's almost unheard of because you think about how you'd have to operate like in Atlanta. They're not going to clear customs in 2 hours.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, we have U.S. Customs right on
Called
site.
being customer friendly, isn't
Yeah,
it?
absolutely. And they've been a great partner.
Good, good. Gives you a lot to sell there. You know, and beyond that, I think a lot of people don't realize that the airport authority or the port authority also has land that they develop for industry, and you have quite a bit of land around you that you're developing for industry.
We do. We have, as I mentioned earlier, over 7,000 acres of land. About 3,000 of it is dedicated to aviation, you know, existing infrastructure, the intermodal facility, our air cargo sites. But when we are developing, and we have a master plan, and we're in the middle of updating our master plan right now, but we're also kind of preparing, you know, for the future. And we develop our industrial property so that it's compatible with the operations that we have today. You know, we have some sites located right next to the runway that are ideal for companies who are doing MRO type of work or need direct
MRO.
maintenance, repair, and overhaul work.
Okay.
That's, you
So
know,
that they
part
have
of our
access to
helicopter
the-
business that we have in our
Access
community.
to the runways, yeah.
Access to the runways are very important. So we have property that, again, we're targeting for those kinds of industry. We look at our property that, you know, down south, we have, you know, industrial sites available there. We have a few industrial sites left in our supplier park. We have growth going on to the western side of the airport. That is targeted at aviation growth, which, you know, down the road, our master plan says that we can grow up to 5 parallel runways, add more terminals.
We have what?
We have 2 parallel runways today.
So we can grow up to 5.
Up to
and that gets
5.
into the question mark I was going to ask you 30 years from now. You know, as we start looking down the road, and you have to plan for growth and knowing what the airport's doing now and what the intermodal's doing now, what the industrial park's doing now, and knowing that we're going to grow as a community. What do you see, you know, when you say, look 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the way?
And that's what we're trying to do now when we're master planning. I mean, even when we're, you know, building new parking garages on the airport side, when we're adding roadways, we want to look and make sure that we're making the right investment today. So 10 years, 15 years down the road, we're not, you know, having to tear up and infrastructure that we've put into place. So we're trying to think about that from a very, you know, a 25-year standpoint, a 50-year standpoint.
Some buffer zones.
We
and
look
things
at,
like that.
you know, we've got some natural buffer with, you know, the interstate to the north. You know, you can go south and to the river. You know, going west, you have the refuge. So we're trying to, you know, build the infrastructure, put it in place today while it's still cotton fields. And then that way, you know, our kids and our grandkids will be able to be in a situation where we can handle, you know, new aerospace, manufacturing type growth, more air cargo growth, and also more passenger growth.
Wow. Now, tell me, Dream Chaser. We've been talking about, I think a lot of people have read about Dream Chaser, the idea that we can send a rocket up into space and it come down, and its landing point might be, one of its point of entries might be Huntsville, Alabama. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, that's really an exciting project because, you know, taking man to the moon and beyond has always been a vision with our community. And so it's very exciting to be working with all of our partners, the city of Huntsville being one, and Sierra Nevada. And, you know, we've gone into, done some preliminary studies to see about the Dream Chaser landing at a commercial airport. I mean, there are other airstrips that the space shuttle has landed at, but there is no commercial airport license today to handle a space vehicle. So we've already gone through phase 1. There are no red flags. So we're excited that we can move forward and that there is compatibility for the Dream Chaser to land at Huntsville International Airport. So we're going to move into phase 2, which we'll be looking at the licensing and submitting an application for the airport to be a landing site. So this is a really neat and exciting project because of all the things that are here in our community and the economic development growth that it can have, and even the tourism aspect of the Dream Chaser landing in our community.
So we would be the #1 commercial spaceport in the nation.
Well, there are no other commercial airports that are licensed, and we're working in tandem with Sierra Nevada, and so Sierra Nevada does have a contract with NASA to be launching product up to the space station. So we're not aware of any other commercial airport, but once we get this, we will be the first.
You know, the interesting thing out of this is that it ends up setting up a whole new industry when you start looking at it. It's industries that send products into space, and they can have repair, maintenance, they can have production facilities right next to where they can load up the Dream Chaser and send it back into space and then bring it back down. Or if it's been up there doing an experiment, it comes down, then all of a sudden we're able to get that experiment off quickly and find out the results of it. So it gives us a lot of capabilities and a lot of industry capabilities that we never have had before.
And again, our community's, looking again into the commercial application of space. So while NASA's the, initial customer of Sierra Nevada, it'll be open to other industries. It could be biotech, it can be universities. So the ability for these companies and universities to have quick access to experiments and things that they're doing on the space station will be invaluable. And so that's part of why we're very interested in this. Again, it kind of goes with the mode of speed to the market.
Yeah. Barbie, this is amazing. I mean, we're talking about maybe in the future five runways parallel, and lots more traffic as we bring in more airlines, more trips, more direct flights and everything. We're talking about on the commercial cargo side, 2-hour turnaround on coming in from a foreign country, coming in, clearing customs, and having 2-hour turnaround to have that product out of the plane and moving somewhere else. And then we're talking industrial development that we're doing all around the airport area. And then finally, we're talking about something new and exciting like the Dream Chaser coming in. Your job must be fun every day.
It is. It's a great place to be. And, going there, and you never know, there are no 2 days that are the same. So that's why I love it. And that's why I like being there and getting to work with all the community partners and building, something together that we can all be proud of.
Barbie, thank you for joining me today for our program on our airport authority. I'm Mayor Tommy Battle. So I'll see you next time on the Upshot.